Well, welcome back, everybody. Good to have you here for our Trading Think Script. My name is Mike Fairborn, Senior Manager of Trading Derivatives at Charles Schwab. And today, folks, we have been working on it for a little bit here. And I don't know, it seemed a little bit easier this time to get to. But remember the super trend? We were looking for a scan on that. Well, we've got the scan today, and it is interesting. It picks up when the super trend does flip up to the upside in terms of bullishness. We can create one as well for bearishness. That one took a little while. I wasn't sure what was going on exactly, but I got a number of errors initially, went back and hit it a few times. This is the Super Trend script that was built by Mobius out there, and we're going to take a look at that if you hadn't seen it before. It was a prior class that we'd done, but there were a lot of requests for the scan. Well, we got the scan today, so we're going to dive into the scan, and looking forward to it very much. I'm joined in the chat by a good friend and colleague of mine, Kevin Horner. You see him in the chat as KH. Good to have KH on board with us. Folks, you can follow Kevin on X, Kevin Horner CS. I am Mike Fairborn CS. And welcome all. Hello to you, JV. Good to have you here, as well as Don Austin. We've got Robert, Michael, Scott, and others, Rojo, Will. Good to have you here, Will. And with that, hey, folks, let's hit some disclosures so we can get started on this. Looking forward to diving on into it. All right, so with that, let's hit disclosures now. Equity and index options may carry a high level of risk. Carry a high level of risk, are not suitable for all investors. Information here is for general information purposes only. Paper money software application for education purposes only. Back testing results, which we do look at in this class, and we do look at that from time to time. Those are hypothetical, and there's no guarantee that the same strategy implemented today would produce similar results. In fact, we'll be doing that today. We do it basically in every class. But no question today, as well as we look back at the super trend info. So investing involves risk, including for some products more than your initial investment. Now, past performance of any security or strategy does not guarantee future results or success. And lastly, futures and futures options trading does involve substantial risk, not super for all investors. We just look at the charts here. We do not trade futures. Although I will say this, Kevin and James have a futures trading, sort of a trading room class on Monday morning where they do look at trading the markets using, I'm sorry, that's ETF. My bad. It's not futures. That is Ben Watson. So it's a different sort of a class. Hey, check out that one as well. Yeah, for sure. But that one's on Friday. Ben's is on Tuesday. On that note, let's just dive on into it. All right. So, folks, looking at our markets here, well, what do we see? We are continuing to break higher with that longer term trend, that theme, folks, that has been showing strength for a little bit now. A bit of movement we've seen, within the equity markets, you have to say, in terms of a little bit more broad as of late, more broad-based, a little bit more breadth to the market. What I did find interesting on this, and it is somewhat bullish, is we just, we broke back up about that 75. We just kind of went flat. Now, sometimes you can immediately reverse, but if you start to go higher here, all else equal, that's kind of a positive. I mean, you'll see that from time to time around other areas. For example, I mean, I didn't even see this here, but it happens frequently enough. I didn't have to look back too far to spot it. Around 7,100, you broke above that level. What did we do? Well, we dipped back down, folks, but we held that level in some of the strongest trends, and we have seen a stronger trend here, and it emerged, and it kept on, and it's continuing to emerge, at least to this point right now. Sometimes breaking above a high and holding near that range in the direction of the trend can be construed as a positive. It's not to say that you won't see reversals from here as well, but yeah, sometimes you'll just get that. Anyways, we are seeing strength. And a quick note, because you guys do look at this from time to time too. We look at it in the markets and sectors class on Friday, but if we come over here and we just pull up, let's say, for example, seasonality, there it is. I just wanted to style standard and then seasonality right here. Let's make it comparable. I just want to highlight this super quick, and then we're going to dive right on into the super trend here, which is our key discussion. But where are we at? What do you think? Are we moving in line? We are moving in line. In fact, you could say that this is up now, and this is up now, right? Those are both up with seasonal performance over the past 5 years. Now you're going to see that over the past 10 years as well. I'm just going to flip it into a 10 so you can see. Let's add 5 more years just like that. So you can see where there the difference here is we're a little ahead, or quite a bit ahead actually, of where we would normally be end of May. This is May right down here. End of May. Where are we right now? 10.25%. Wow. On the year starting from here, right? Traditionally, normally, where are we? Right about here. Okay, come on, straight line. There we go. So right about 3.5%. That's quite a divergence. So it's quite a strong market, and kind of stands to reason. Well, based on, innovation, productivity. We're in an AI, somewhat of an AI boom. We'll see if that continues on, but a lot of you know, traders, investors are discussing that. Anyhow, let's do this. Let's jump out of this now and let's dive right on into our discussion that we looked at previously. Now, we had talked about the super trend, and I'm going to break it down specifically for you all today, even in more detail in terms of what that super trend actually does do, and what's going on kind of behind the scenes. So what I'm going to do is we'll pull it up over here. Now, do you guys have this? Many of you, I think, might have saved it. I can share it as well. Again, think scripts aren't guaranteed for timeliness or accuracy. This is one that was built by an individual who's very good at coding. His name is Mobius, and had been coding for years and years. And let's just pull it up on the charts. If I could just get, okay, there we go. So here we go. So let's do, so it's just super trend, and we'll pull it up right now. I'm going to add it in. These are the defaults, and I'll explain those defaults here just momentarily. Now, again, ThinkScript's not guaranteed for timeliness or accuracy. What it's doing is it is using an ATR. Now, the default settings that he has used, those are based upon a 4 ATR. I'd done a class recently. In fact, we talked about it in here too, about a 5 ATR, keeping things kind of tighter. Okay. But a 4 ATR, do you guys remember this? Remember seeing this? Well, this one did a very, very good job, by the way, of hitting the exact bottom on the SPX. I didn't realize it was that close. It's not always exactly right at the bottom, but it will try to highlight those areas where there is strength, and it keeps that ATR in place. Now, what I wanted to do, let me just share it so you all well, yeah, we'll share it first so you all have it. Just a second here. Okay, let me get this going. Perfect. Okay, now let's do this. Let's share it, and it was a prior script we've got. The original one that I did share had the bubbles, but the bubbles make it difficult to kind of see. So I just simply just erased the bottom bubbles. That's all I did. Okay. All right. So I'm going to share this into the chat so you guys have it right there. And I'll just, okay, so we'll just label this. So trend, uh, super trend. There you go. This is for the chart. Okay, again, not guaranteed for timeliness or accuracy, but as long as the data flowing into the platform is good and we have good data, then it's just a numerical kind of formulation that unfolds. All right. So let's take a look at this. So a couple of different things. You do see up top here that we do have a 4 ATR. I want to talk about what this does and how he's positioned this. You've got basically everything. This right here is central because he's looking at high, close, low, and an ATR. So he's looking at the price moves around these levels, and he's also using an ATR. We had talked about an ATR, right, recently, went into kind of some detail. He's using it in a very unique way. I want to give you just kind of a one line sort of I had to just kind of narrow it down in my head. But the super trend basically takes the candle midpoint of the bar that we're looking at. It builds an ATR based on sort of like, well, not sort of like, it has this above it and this below it. In fact, I'm going to use this right now. Well, this is perfect. We'll have to use red. So if I was going over here to explain this, it kind of goes like this, and it moves down that ATR based upon that mid candle point, okay? And it's going to be kind of down here where it actually hits. But it's basically, it builds up one above and one below on the rails here, okay? And so we'll do the same thing. They're referred to as rails, is the way he's defined them. but this is the ATR ranges that we've got in here. Now they're built upon a midpoint of the candle. And when price is weak, the close is below the old super trend line. So prices continue to drop. But uh, you see the green over here when we start to uh, crosses close the closing price that we referenced earlier crosses above the old super trend line. Okay, so there's a few different things going on here, but that's the way they've mapped it out. So it's really interesting because it's it's based upon an ATR, so it's volatility adjusted. Now, what we talked about before is it's cool to have this on any chart, but even cooler when we can simply scan for it and say, hey, let me know when this just flipped higher here. Okay, and that is what we've done today. For example, this one, and the reason why I got it is because we have the scan on it. But if I click on Oracle right here, notice we just got it. The only reason why I found it is because it just barely flipped today right there. Now, remember in this class, what we never do, and we never, ever, ever do, is we never forget what we've learned in the previous discussions, right? We want to take it with us. And let me get this back to sort of a standard here. We still want to look at the chart. We don't want to throw away everything and say we have a new indicator here. Now that was Mike Fairborn in the first few years of trading years ago in like the mid to late 90s, right? I just say, okay, this has got to be the one. This has got to be the one. No, actually, what you're really looking for are combinations of different indications. Because specifically when we're talking about the super trend, folks, what we're looking at here is actually more of a more of a signal. It's more like an entry indication that some traders may or may not decide to use as we look at these example stocks, right? It's it's that, but it's kind of in the context of what we're looking at here. Let me throw some things out for you. What have we talked about? What are some of the indicators we talked about in this class that are very, very important too to build on? Because what traders will do is they'll try to build expectations upon expectations of what they're looking for, right? Like, hey, maybe we have a greater expectation if the trend is up. I know really basic, you guys understand this, but I mean, we don't want to just forget that because you know you'd have to say that like this signal right here was probably a lower expectation is what I would say at this level. Now, it might not be too low because one thing we're getting on this stock a series of bottoms. It's not a double bottom, it's not even a triple. It might be a quad bottom. Those are out there. Quadruple bottom, right? You're seeing a number of touch points. I'm counting four. So you could say that's interesting if I were to get a signal down here and we're holding support, right? But it's always in reference of like the trend, support, resistance, and maybe other indicators too. Like say, for example, what does that money flow look like? What do other indications look like? Am I seeing a support that kind of bust up through that level with more indications? So I'm just going to throw this out because I think it's a really important point. Let's just say that this represents maybe with expectations a zero. It's not a negative number. Maybe it's a one, whatever. I'll just start off with zero. But now that we broke the trend higher, we made a new high and we had a higher low. What do we have right there? Right there. It's a higher low potential with the super trend indicator. So that ATR, that mid ATR point, right? Then the mid candle point, building those ATRs, the rails up above and below, we've begun to break above that upper rail right there that was being held because it's monitoring the price ranges, which is what an ATR does over that time frame. But now we've got the trend. Now we've got support. Support. The trend broke higher, but look over here with me. I'll just draw, I mean, it's not perfect, but I mean, you can see there's a nice little gap right there as well. It held right at that 160 and then boom, you got it. Now, if you're using the scan that we've built today, you would have been able to see that day one right there. This is more interesting, I think, in a lot of ways than, let's say, I do like the Cahold. I think the Cahold is interesting too. But if you're getting a switch, an ATR, if an ATR flips the true range, you're getting a little bit more than just a Cahold, a little bit more than price data. It's showing you that the trend based upon the true range, of the bars. And you can get that true range right there. Well, there's the range. It's right now, I guess, of today, as of today, between the high and the low, it's at 11. When we average that over the past 4 bars and we start to now break above it, that's when we could get our signal. But it's again, it's based upon that midpoint of the candle. There's a few things going on with this one. And believe me, I've narrowed it down to one sentence. There's a lot more than one. Okay. Um, Now, why would this be interesting? Let me show you why. Because if we're using 4 ATRs, what are some of the strongest trends out there? We talk about this in my swing trade class a lot. I know Kevin has some great approaches as well. Be sure to check out his stuff. But I mean, one of the things you look at on the swing trade is this pullback here is 2 to 5 days. And yes, that four lands right in the middle of it too. So now we're saying, yes, it's like a normal pullback, but now we're getting an indication that it's different from the trend. In other words, that downward sloping trend has now broken up so much quicker, it's flipped that ATR. That's what the super trend is doing. Okay. Um, and even over here, I'll just zoom in. This is really kind of hard to see, but right here, if you look at this, look right here with me. Yes, there is this trend in place. Was this enough strength? No. Did we get a hold right there? Yeah, we did. But did we still see some potential weakness? We did. Look at, we came down, we bounced up, and it wasn't a new high. This is okay. This is lower than this is what it's trying to pick up on. Is it enough to knock off that ATR, that normal range? It was right there. And when you see this, a lot of times you're going to see a breakout above a range as well. It just stands to reason that that could be the case. Not in every case. Like down here, we didn't. But this is what you'd call right there uh, a strong hold, right? Close above the high of the low day. So there's more to it. There's something. It's like a hold with a little bit of a resume behind it. I guess you could say there's more to it than just closing above the high of the low day. There's more internals. All right. Folks, if you guys are getting value out of this discussion, any value at all, smash that like button. It just lets us know what you're getting from Kevin and I today. Useful too. You guys can utilize it. Also, be sure to follow us on well, let's pull it up. Oh, sorry. Let's pull it up over here on our Trader Talks channel, and we'll pull it up right here. Follow us on Trader Talks if you're not already. So be sure to like and subscribe. You can get us all our stuff right down here. Playlists are down here as well. Some great stuff every morning. But Kevin's here. A lot of times he is out on the road. Encourage you to take a look at him at those classes, those live classes. Does a great job there too. But you can see that you will see a number of Kev's stuff over here too to take a look at. All right. By the way, the one I teach here is just at the bottom. This is the one last week. And below each of these, yes, you can get the full playlist of our stocks. Okay, of our classes. Now, let's get into the actual scan itself. Now, I did run it here and I have it in place. I ran it once. It worked great. I ran it again. I ran it a third time. Nothing came up, and I keep running it after. It seems to work okay. This is it right here. And this is the addition that we put into it so you guys could see it all here. Okay, so if you take a look at it, this is what you'll get. Um, I don't know what I was doing before. All I'm simply doing now, and by the way, it was quite challenging. I saw, from Mobius and what he'd done, there were just no scans on it out there that I could find. And they were saying there were some issues with the scans, but I just decided to make it real super simple. And that is the closing price crosses above the ST. Okay, what's the ST? Well, that is our signal to the breakup, to the upside here. When we're getting that rail breaking up higher in the fashion that he has designed this here. That's it. Let's go ahead and share it right now so you guys do have it. In fact, I've got it pulled up right there. So let's just share it. Again, think scripts aren't guaranteed for time of this or accuracy. Here it is again. So super trend scan. All right, so there you have it. So you would save that, right? into the scan. So first off, for those of you that don't know this, just go to setup, open shared items, and just paste that link in that I gave you there, preview, name it what you want to have it named, because when you come over here into the scan, you're going to want to find that into your personal folders on the left-hand side. This is the fun part, though. The funnest part is letting ThinkScript run through that code and show us what else is out there, right? So this is like really, really fun. Now, okay, the beauty of this is too, is that you can come over here and again, once you save it, you have to, when you load it up, save it. You can come over here and just find it. And this is the funnest way because now you can just simply click on it and pull it up immediately. All right, yeah, thanks for typing that in, Kev. We're good on that. Yep, not guaranteed for time or accuracy. All right. So let's take a look at this right here. What do we have? Let's see. Oh, there's Hood. Okay. So what do you see over here? So yes, it was it successful at catching this bounce. Sure. This bottom, well, a little bit, but that bar, just the size of the true range on here is interesting. That's one other note I'm going to note as we go through some of these examples here, because some might be they might stand out more than others. This is something that I got from years ago. I read it. I mean, it was like honestly a couple decades ago, and it's something like this. When you see a large bar, when was the last time you saw a bar that large? And what could that mean? Could it mean strength? Well, we know from a candle perspective, and maybe what I should do is just zoom in on some of these for now. Okay, as we're looking at this, we do trade ThinkScript here too. So I wanted to be looking at some of these and put a sample example of trades in as well as we go through this. But so we take a look at this right here. Notice when you get a big bar like this, sometimes you guys have heard of the engulfing pattern before. I know you have. What happens when you engulf like an entire month or half a month with a bar? Could that be a big bar? Some would say that's a big bar. I think Will might actually say that that's a big bar. If you can come over here and no, where the day's not done yet, so maybe I spoke too soon. But if you could start encompassing a range of bars over here, some traders might say that's a positive. Now, does it mean it's going to go higher? No, there's no guarantees. But these are just other sort of expectations that traders might consider as well. But take a look at that. I can tell you right now, just looking at this, it's fascinating from a couple of different points, perspectives as well. And you'd have to say that did it break, like say, for example, a longer term downward sloping trend line? Somewhat. Whatever company we're looking at here, this is just an example, but yeah, it did kind of held as well. But this could be a very, very interesting signal. Again, the Cahold with maybe a little resume within it. There's more than just the Cahold, in other words, right? There's something else to it. IQV, that's a big bar as well. We've been holding into a range. Now, on something like this, wouldn't it stand to reason to say, gosh, I'm seeing some resistance here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe if we were able to get above that level, it could be interesting. But the super trend scan brought us to that point. And I'll tell you right now, the super trend scan hit every one of these, right? These bounces right now, because this is just coming up on the scan today. These are all today's. So it's very interesting. So could this be the start of I have no idea what these guys are doing. I don't know what happened over here. Something to definitely look into. Was that a fundamental situation? What was going on there? Okay, now we're getting into some of the companies maybe we were a little bit, maybe a little bit more familiar with. Palantir. Okay, pretty big bar off the bottom, engulfing maybe a substantial number of prior bars. Do you want to know why this is showing up? Because it's a big bar. There's some potential future power to. We could say the bar has some power to because it's strong. It's a stronger bar than the prior bars. Now that's just an obvious statement. We're not going out on a limb there. It is right now, and when the market closes, we could say that that is set in stone. Right now, it can still vary, but that's what the indicator's picking up on. Do you guys see what I mean? It has to rotate above that channel. When did we break that? We broke it. It's got to be big enough to do so. Okay, Palantir. Now, how is the trend? It's kind of similar similar lows, I would say. Maybe though, since we're still I got to be careful not to draw off of the upper lines, but as you guys can see, I went like that right there. There you go. So now we're breaking above this as well. Now that's a shorter term trend, but I would also suggest too, if we looked at this over here, be careful not to draw off of the upper rail, but just come down here and say, okay, I mean, that would be the other bar, and that was broken as well. If we hold, interesting stuff. Now, getting into back to Oracle here, I'm going to go ahead and just place an example trade on here because some traders might be looking at it from another number of different ways, but there are earnings coming up. So park that in the back of your mind. There are earnings coming up, and sometimes ahead of those earnings, what we'll often do in this class is we do still like to incorporate some degree of trade or trade management. There's a post earnings, P for post, A for after earnings. What happens during earnings? Well, what if we just split that trade in half? If there was 100 shares we were going to look at purchasing here, if we just cut it in two, why don't we just say a post trade of 50 shares and an after trade of 50 as long as it's doing what we think it's going to do? That way, in case there's something wrong, we're only on the hook for 50 shares. Now, we can still put like a potential exit out there as well to put in place. Um, yeah. So let me just do this real quick. Pull this up. One more thing. So let's put this one in because, like I said, in this class, of course, we do trade think scripts as well. So I did want to state though too, as we're just on the topic of it, and we just want to state that stops, because we will put a stop order in. Stops aren't guaranteed. There's no guarantee that the execution of a stop order will be at or near the stop price. Didn't see that previously, so we'll just go ahead and address that now. By the way, it's also an expensive, more expensive stock. Another reason to maybe do half the number of shares. I was just looking at a round lot right now, 100 shares. But there is Oracle right there. Now, before I do this, again, we want to use some of our tools to maybe help us out. And I would say this um, on Tuesday's class, and this fits actually quite well with Tuesday's class in terms of the swing trading. We talked about two patterns, one setup, and it's really patterns within patterns. You notice over here, that's a flag pattern here, right? And we're kind of developing that flag pattern, but within that flag pattern, there is another flag pattern right here. And you can do a measurement off of each one or both. But say, for example, I just wanted to measure where this guy would go. I could do something like this. Up here, there are two of them. I don't think we quite hit the other one, but let's click. There we go. And I'm just going to simply duplicate this and pull it over. Now, the funny thing is here, a lot of times you can do it off where, the low is or the low right before the high. It's maybe a little bit slightly more aggressive, but there you go. So there could still be even a shorter term range in here. Now, this might just be the beginning of a move if it does unfold. I'm just showing you there's a short term sort of a swing trade target that's sort of built in here as well too. Now, if I did something like this over here, to this range and I took a little bit of a longer, again, pattern within a pattern, I activate this guy. Oh, if I did that off this bottom, we're fairly close. It still shows maybe a couple of bull flags. You still might be in an area where you could, get close to that same area, but it's a little bit north of 220, uh, maybe 222, for example. I'll just kind of bridge the gap there a little bit. So I'm just looking for an upside here. Let me go ahead and set my stops at GTC. And again, we'll go make sure we are at, oh, that's slot. We'll make sure we're at 50 here. Oh, let's lock it. And then you just tab through. So we're at 50, like we said. I'm going to put this down, and it just all depends on where you want to put it. Let me just lower this for now. Let me just go 200 and see what that looks like on the chart. Okay, so always read through your dialog entry order confirmation dialog. Take a look and make sure everything sets up. I'm going to go ahead and send that through right now, though. This is what it looks like on the chart. Now, I wanted to adjust this lower to just maybe just, you know, sometimes traders will adjust it at the midpoint bar. I'm putting that stop down here, and let me just readjust it. Now you can see it better. Oh, okay. Hang on. I just zoomed in too much. There we go. Okay, now we can kind of see it a lot better. That's funny. It doesn't even list it too well. Let's do this though. Here's a six month. That's just well, I'm gonna stay with my 6 month here. Okay. So notice what I did. I put it below the potential stop there. What is my what? My stop limit's not anywhere near. Okay. Oh, I was just gonna raise it. There we go. So 222 is what I said, somewhere in that range. I'm just kind of throwing it out there, close to it. We're just this is an example trade here, but it's closer to these target sort of ranges over here. Now, if you guys want, we did a whole discussion on ways to find patterns within patterns, and traders will look at this for higher expectations. It just so happens that the super trade scan is finding that pattern right now. And there's our fill right there on it. Okay. Did that make sense, everybody, in terms of using a little bit of trade management on something like this? Okay. Um, let's just do this. Back over here, I talked about it right here. Yeah. Two pat two patterns in one setup, which is actually really, it's an interesting way for some traders to look at that if they are interested in kind of trying to build expectations. Anyways, many of you guys might have been in that class, but here it is. In case you want to see it, this is just a playlist for it. All right. Be sure to take a look at Kevin's playlist as well. All right. And playlist swing, just so you have it. All right. Now, Kevin did note here too that there also is a feedback survey in the chat. If you guys get a chance to fill that out, that would be fantastic. There's only two questions. And I look at that, my manager looks at it. It just gives us a sense of what we've got and what you're seeing, thinking about the class. There's a topic or just a notes section in there too. Love reading through those. I've utilized a number of those in classes too, and I'll try to get to all of them if I can. This was actually, a topic request as well to keep building on this. But all right, so there's one on Oracle. Let's continue on though and see what we've got. Oh, no script, no results at all. Really? Nothing happens. That's the same one I'm running, you guys, right here. So no results on it. So that I just caught that in the chat. So I was telling you guys earlier, it did happen to me that way when I ran it initially. I was getting that same issue. Now, it may be something to do. I'm in a demo account, and the demo accounts are very, very akin to, let's say, a live trading account. There's a lot of the same um, components to it that work. You may need to do it like on a live account, perhaps. I don't know. Sometimes there are issues with the paper money. So just park that in the back of your mind. Okay, good. JV Texan, I just want to make sure we're getting somebody that it worked. It was slow. One of mine was slow. It's not the easiest script in the world. It really has to kind of work behind the scenes to do a lot of investigating. I'm doing it by the way, I've saved it so that when you guys get it and you scan, you're not scanning in the NASDAQ 100. It's about 5 times bigger than that. It's in the S&P. So that can take some time as well. Thanks for letting me know that though. Oh, good. Yeah, the Russell, right? Yeah, that's even bigger, Riceberg. So that could even take the Russell 2000. There's the Russell 3000 as well. It just keeps growing with the Russell, right? There's a lot out there to take a look at. But let's continue on. What's TKO doing? Another big outsized bar. I don't know anything about TKO Group, but it is in the S&P 500. We know that for sure because we're scanning. Okay, so here's another example of what we just mentioned. When you are seeing a breakout, this is going to get you some of the breakouts that might have a little bit more, what's the word to it? What's the word? A little bit more boost, a little bit more strength. There's a lot of words, but that's what it's spotting. And notice, I just want to highlight this. This is a really, really key point. Something I think that you get with the Mobius super trend, and that's this. There was a close above the high, the low here, but man, was it moderate. You got it about right there. But look, it didn't flag anything until it flagged something, until it broke that ATR. So in other words, could it keep you out of something? Because I just have to think that there are going to be a lot of stocks out there that it didn't signal. It didn't give you the signal on because it did one of these. It went up and it was just weak and it went just like this. You see what I'm saying? it kept you out as opposed to in. This is a Waters company. Is this a water, like Waters as in water? Quick note on that. Let's just take a quick peek at it. I'm going to go into fundamentals. There we go. Oh, that's not NEE. All right, now I'm just clicking every. Okay, WAT, Waters. It is a no, totally different. Analytical water, or excuse me, analytical workflow solutions. There you go. So it is in tech, and there's a move right there. Now it's kind of a more expensive one. Go ahead and take a look back at this one. But again, what are we seeing here? Well, right now, we hadn't seen this in a bit on this stock, but clearly here, that is a higher high and that is a higher low. And how do we know it's a higher low? And I'll tell you why. Because we just made a higher high. And that is where a trend actually gets defined. Now, again, this is giving the signal, but I want you guys to be building it on what else you're seeing, right? That's really, really important for sure. Just to make sure we're building it on something and we're not just looking at a signal just for the sake of the signal. I mean, in other words, sure, there's a signal, but what's really backing that signal up is what we want to see. Okay, so let's do this. Let's continue. Tech. Okay, we finally got a signal here. The thing I would say about this, which is really good to see, is we do not have yet. Well, actually, we just might. Geez, we're just getting something on everything here. Maybe the signs of a change in trend. And actually, right here too, look at this. We just took out that level. We don't know if we're going to hold there. We've got still about 22 or 3 minutes to go. But yeah, could it be the change? That's the question. RBTY, another breakout type signal that we didn't get anywhere through here. The Cahold you got, I think, right there, definitely there. See what I mean? It's not your average Cahold. It's something, it requires more than that. Let's just draw this flag because this is just too easy to see here. Here is the potential flag on this Revvity with two V's. Here we go. There's your initial pull. Measurement off the bottom. We take this price and we measure it to the upside. Just eyeballing it here, folks, but it is interesting because many, many, many times, you guys know what I'm looking at. It'll come right to a prior high, which is the initial target. Will it hit that? We don't know. But what's fascinating is it's been stuck around 100. And sometimes when you can break above a big round number, you can get a bit of a boost. Now, does it happen every time? No, but we're just observing. We're making sure that we talk about all the stuff that we address in these classes, right? DHR. Okay. Oh, maybe not yet, though. Look at this one. We're not quite there. If I'm drawing it off the highs, um, ooh, close to a trend line break, but not there yet. And also, right over here, you see how we can distinguish between the two? That's resistance. We didn't break the higher low either. Excuse me. We did not break above the prior low on this run. So this is still kind of a wait and see, but could be of interest. IDXX, sort of a round, flattening out bottom. J, well, wait and see. No trend yet. And here you go. Okay, what's interesting about Deere here? I'm going to go take it back a little bit longer because I think the longer term trend has something to say about this. Sometimes, not every time. And by the way, we're not getting a clear signal here yet, but this could be a sign of a longer term reversal. I don't know what's going on with earnings. We dipped after earnings. I've seen a number of times it fall after earnings and a number of times strong recovery even after it dips on earnings. So it just kind of depends. But look at this. This is a really substantial move. If we were to kind of bottom down here and start to mini trend up, you see what I see? The potential of that is a longer term flag. Big, big picture. Now, how do we find that flag, folks? Super Trend Scan. All right, you guys. Well, again, if you got value, smash that like button. Be sure to subscribe to our Trader Talk channel. We did hit a trade in here. We caught Oracle. I can just find where I'm at. There we go. Yeah, we caught Oracle as our trade, but we've been looking today at the super trend from Mobius, created, I want to say a couple years ago, at least, that he created that, he or she, not sure, but, um, and we have built a scan around it in terms of entries. Now, what we'll do, I'm going to work on, it's not going to be hard at all because all we got to do is flip it around this last portion of our scan in terms of what we got to do to the downside, because the downside could be just as interesting as well, right? So it's a simple change over here. Let's pull it up right now so we could see it. It's sounds great. It's just a simple crosses what below, and we should be able to have that in place. So that's just a simple flip. Just copy it, crosses below, should be in good shape. Folks, it was great being with you as always. I look forward to these classes each and every week. And I always really, what I really appreciate is a lot of your topic requests. They're very, very useful. They've been really super helpful and letting me think outside the box as well. So if there's something out there we can work on, let me know, because then that way, two birds with one stone. It's something that's really quite useful and something that helps you guys too, specifically that you're looking at. So be sure to throw those in and feel free to throw those into this chat as well so we can address those for you. And there is a survey link, as Kevin just pointed out. Again, thank you, Kevin, as always, for all your help. And everybody, there's that link there at the bottom if you're able to do that. Just two questions. But with this, I will look forward to future discussions with you all and have a great rest of the day. See you next time.